Welcome to the Make It a Better Day podcast. I'm Matthew, and today I'm joined by Laura. We're diving into a beautiful article called When Animals Guide Our Hearts that explores something I've experienced firsthand: how our connections with animals can teach us profound lessons about compassion.
I'm so glad we're discussing this today. Just last weekend I was watching my neighbor's child interact with their new puppy. The gentleness that naturally emerged from this usually rowdy 7-year-old was remarkable. It got me thinking about how animals bring out something special in us.
That's exactly what this article opens with, this powerful moment where the author is volunteering at an animal shelter and connects with a dog named Max who had been overlooked for months. They described sitting quietly beside him, offering treats without demanding interaction, and witnessing this gradual transformation as Max began to trust them.
That slow earned trust is so meaningful, isn't it? It reminds me of my experience rehabilitating injured wildlife. There's no shortcut to earning that trust. You have to respect their boundaries and communicate on their terms, not yours.
And that's where the deeper learning happens. The article makes this fascinating point about how caring for creatures who communicate differently forces us to develop more intuitive understanding. We can't rely on words, so we become more attuned to subtle signals.
Exactly. And then something magical happens. We start applying that heightened awareness to our human relationships too. I've definitely caught myself thinking, oh, my friend is doing that thing my cat does when she needs space, and adjusting my approach accordingly.
That's such a perfect example of compassion becoming this transferable skill. The article describes it as a lens through which we view all relationships. The article also gives us a powerful historical example of how this idea can scale. Dian Fossey's transformation is a perfect case. What stood out to you about her story?
Her journey fascinates me because it shows this beautiful evolution. She didn't start with some grand mission to save gorillas. She began with scientific curiosity. But living among them changed her fundamentally. She started recognizing their individual personalities, their family dynamics, even giving them names rather than specimen numbers.
And that personal connection completely transformed her work, didn't it? What began as research became this fierce commitment to protect not just individual gorillas but their entire ecosystem.
Absolutely. There's something so powerful about that progression from observation to connection to advocacy. Not everyone has that dramatic an arc, but I think we all experience smaller versions of that transformation when we truly connect with animals.
Speaking of those everyday opportunities, what practical suggestions from the article resonated with you most? I know not all of us can pull a Dian Fossey and live among gorillas in Rwanda.
I actually love the simplicity of the first suggestion, just truly seeing the animals we encounter. Not as background characters in our human story, but as individuals having their own experience. Even taking a few minutes to actually observe that squirrel in your yard instead of just registering, oh, another squirrel.
That mindfulness is so accessible, isn't it? And I found myself nodding along with how the article describes this natural progression. Once you start truly seeing animals, you naturally become more thoughtful about how your choices affect them.
Right. And that volunteering suggestion hit home for me. The article mentions witnessing how animals maintain gentleness despite prior mistreatment. I've seen dogs who faced terrible neglect still approach humans with hopeful eyes, and it's honestly humbled me when I think about how I respond to much smaller hurts.
That resilience is incredible. I've definitely had moments looking at my rescue cat and thinking, if you can still purr and seek connection after what humans did to you, maybe I can be a bit more forgiving too.
The part about teaching children this compassion really stood out to me. That story about watching a nephew learn to read a kitten's signals, his face lighting up when he realized his gentle approach earned the kitten's trust. You can almost see those neural pathways forming, can't you?
It's such important learning. And what I love is how naturally it transfers. The article points out that children who learn to respect an animal's boundaries often develop a natural awareness of human feelings too, asking before hugging friends or noticing when someone needs space.
That's the heart of it, this expanded awareness that begins with animals but enriches all our relationships. So the article challenges us to find one opportunity today to extend our circle of compassion through animals. What might that look like for you?
I've been thinking about this. For me, it would be spending time observing the birds at my feeder without my phone in hand, actually learning to recognize individual birds and their behaviors instead of just filling the feeder and walking away. How about you?
I've been considering something the article mentioned about researching the welfare issues behind everyday products. I've never looked into which companies are better on animal testing. That feels like a concrete step I could take.
Both of those sound like meaningful practices. And I love how the article describes these small shifts creating ripple effects. Each act of kindness toward a vulnerable being rewires us for empathy.
It's like learning any language, compassion becomes more fluent with practice. And I think that's why this resonates so much with our Make It a Better Day community. These aren't grand gestures that require special circumstances, they're accessible practices that anyone can incorporate.
As we start wrapping up, I keep coming back to that central idea, that caring for animals teaches us compassion for all living things. It's this beautiful gateway to a more connected way of moving through the world.
And we can all start today with just one conscious animal interaction. I love how the article invites us to notice how extending care beyond our immediate human circle feels, that awareness itself is transformative.
That small step can start a ripple effect that enriches every relationship in our lives. And that's really what Make It a Better Day is all about, those small choices that create waves of positive change.
Before we go, we want to remind our listeners that you can find more articles, videos, and resources on our website. We'd love to hear about your own experiences with animal compassion on our social platforms.
And if you're looking for a way to carry this message with you, check out our Redbubble store, where you'll find thoughtful designs that celebrate our connection with animals and more, and that help support our mission of making each day a little better.
Thanks for joining us today on this journey exploring how animals guide our hearts. Until next time, remember that compassion grows with practice, and every interaction is an opportunity.
See you next time on the Make It a Better Day podcast.